grade 6 learners? Want to learn more about the different things around you? What are you waiting for? Come on and let us all learn from our today's discussion. By the way, I'm teacher Ana Cunha from Apollonia F. Rafael Elementary School, your science terrific partner, and welcome to Valenzuela F. Bilay. Don't forget to comment down your name and the name of your school. And you may also type your answers and questions that are related to our topic in the comment box. And prepare your module, ballpen, and notebook to take note of all the important ideas. Our most essential learning competency today is different techniques in separating mixtures. And at the end of our lesson, you should be able to, number 1, describe and illustrate the techniques in separating mixtures, and investigate the process of separating mixtures through decantation. And now that it is clear to you, I know that you are ready for our discussion today. So how can we remove this small stone and unmilled grains from the rice? Is it possible to separate the salt from the seawater? And what are you going to do to remove the soil from the water? We will find out the answers to this question as we move along to our discussion. But first, let us unjumble the following words that we encountered in our previous discussion. So let's comment down your answer. Alright, we have here the word. You're right, the word colloid. For the next word, so we have here the word suspension. And for the third one, we have here. Alright, we have here a solution. Good job, kids! We've learned from our previous lesson that mixtures are a physical combination of 2 or more substances. Mixtures are classified according to how uniformly the substance present in them are mixed together. They are either homogeneous or heterogeneous mixtures. And mixtures may also be classified as solution, suspension, and colloid. Solution is a homogeneous mixture with 2 substances, one which is usually a liquid. A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture between a liquid and particles of a solid in which the particles do not dissolve, and these undissolved particles settles down at the bottom of the container. While colloids are heterogeneous mixtures with intermediate particle size. It consists of slightly bigger particles than those in a solution. When it comes to mixtures, the thing you should remember is that you start with some pieces of substances which you may combine. And then later on, we can use some techniques called physical separations to get back the substance in the mix. The properties of the substances do not change in a mixture. The method of separating mixtures is as unique as the kind of mixtures you have and depend primarily on the properties of each component. However, not all mixtures are easy to separate. Like the sand and pebbles or the cough from the rice grains, we cannot simply pick the salt out of the water. That is why there are different methods of separating mixtures are being used not only in the laboratories but also in school, at home, and in other places. We may consider the different properties of matter to separate the mixture, such as boiling point, melting point, the density, the sizes of its particles, solubility, and magnetism. And we know that separating mixtures are done to make substances more useful. And there are several ways of separating the components of a mixture, such as manual separation, magnetic separation. We also have filtration, evaporation, sedimentation, decantation, and distillation. We also have sieving and flotation. In the video that I will show to you, we will use some of the methods to separate the mixture. So, let's watch this.
Fill the other cup with water. Put a tablespoon of soil and let us wait for a few minutes and observe what will happen. After a few minutes, take the another cup and slowly pour the water into it. While heating the pan, mix the salt and the water in a clear cup. Stir it and pour the salt solution into the pan. And let us wait for a few minutes for the salt solution to boil. And let us observe what will happen to the salt solution. In the first cup, let us mix the flour and the water. Stir it and set aside. Now, Let us place the filter paper or coffee filter in the mouth of the second container. And after that, pour all the mixture of flour and water into the container with filter. And let us observe what will happen.
Mixtures with undissolved solutes, like in our activity number 1, can be separated by the methods called sedimentation and fermentation. Let us take a closer look. In sedimentation, the mixture is left untouched for some time and the solute slowly settles down at the bottom. This process allows the particles in suspension in water to settle out of the suspension under the effect of the gravity. After this, the solvent can be slowly poured to another container without disturbing the settled particles to separate them completely. And this transfer of liquid is called decantation. And the solid that remains is called precipitation. Decantation is the process of separating liquid from solid by removing the liquid layer at the top from the layer of solid or liquid below. The process can be carried out by tilting the mixture after pouring out the top layer. It can also be used to separate two liquids that do not mix uniformly. And did you know that this method can also be used in oil and water mixture? Yes, it is possible. Since oil does not dissolve in water and is less dense, stays on top. For you to separate the oil from the water, gently pour the oil from the glass and you can separate the oil from the. And here are examples of mixtures that can be separated using decantation. We have here dirt and water. Decantation is one way to clean muddy water. Soil and debris sinks to the bottom so clear water is poured off. Decanting water isn't sufficient to completely purify it because some particles like bacteria and viruses are too little to sink with the dirt. Other particles dissolve in water like heavy metals and pesticides. Even after the decantation process, other methods are needed to produce drinking water like filtration or distillation. So for our second example, we have here a kerosene and water, or gasoline and water. As the kerosene or gasoline floats above the water. But be careful because decanting this liquid is dangerous due to the fuel that may evaporate to form flammable toxic fumes. And for our third examples, we have here a milk and cream. Decantation separates cream from milk, as cream rises to the top of the liquid and is easily skimmed off. Decantation is an easy method of separating the undissolved solid particles from liquid. But one disadvantage is that it doesn't allow for perfect separation of mixture components. There are also other methods of separating mixtures shown in our activity a while ago. In our activity number 2, evaporation is the process happens when the soluble solid heated and it can be separated from the solution. And in our activity number 3, filtration process is used in separating an insoluble solid from the liquid substance by allowing the liquid pass through a permeable material that acts as a filtering medium. Alright, did you understand our discussion today? If you enjoy, just click the like or heart button below. And for us to test our understanding about the separating mixture, let us have this activity. We're going to comment down the word true if the statement is true and false if it is false. Are you ready? So we have here our first statement. Decantation is a method of separating mixture primarily by means of pouring, or false. Alright, the correct answer is true. For our question number 2, in a uniformly mixed substance, decantation can be used to separate its components. True or false? Alright, the correct answer is false. For our statement number 3, slowly pouring the liquid off the container will help you do the process of decantation precisely. Again, slowly pouring the liquid off the container will help you do the process of decantation precisely. True or false? Comment down your answer. Alright, the correct answer is true. For our statement number 4, decantation can only be applied on mixtures that involve solid and liquid. Again, decantation can only be applied on mixtures that involve solid and liquid. True or false? Thank you for your answers. The correct answer is false. And for our last statement, you may use a filter paper to separate the undissolved particles of the mixture from its liquid components. Is it true or false? Comment down your answer. Alright, the correct answer is true, of course. You did a great job today, and I'm glad that you learned a lot from our discussion a while ago. So now we will accept some questions related to our topic in our hashtag Ask Your Science Teacher time. So what are you waiting for? Comment down your question. So, we have here one question from our viewer. Let us see. Ma'am Ann, is decantation or filter faster? Decantation is supposed to be faster, but may produce a not so clear filtrate. Filtration could produce a clearer filtrate but may take some time, especially when a thick layer of solid has formed on the filter. I hope that I answered your question correctly. And for our second question, comment down your questions below. So we have here, Ma'am Ann, why decantation is important in our daily lives? Decantation is frequently used to purify a liquid by separating it from a suspension of insoluble particles. Just for example, in a red wine, where the wine is decanted from the potassium bitartrate crystals to avoid unsavory taste. Oh, sorry, we don't have enough time to answer all your questions today. But I know that your science teachers in your schools will help you with this. So don't forget to attend your virtual class tomorrow. But before we end our discussion, let us sum up the important points in our lesson and remember the following. The components of these mixtures can be separated. The method of separating mixtures into components depends primarily on the properties of each component. Sedimentation is the process of allowing particles in suspension in water to settle out of the suspension under the effect of gravity. Decantation is the process of separating liquid from solid by removing the liquid layer at the top from the layer of solid or liquid below. And examples of mixtures that can be separated using decantation are oil and water, kerosene and water, milk and cream, and the dirt and water. So for our homework, answer the activities on your module in science on page 20. Again, answer the activity on your module in science on page 20. But before we end our discussion today, let me leave you this. Life is a mixture of everything. There is no happiness without pain. There are no smiles without tears. By Vishnu. Thank you for listening and see you again next week for another Science Terrific episode here in Valenzuela F. the Life.